I've got a real cold at the moment, a real flu of sorts, really bad chest and nose. I don't know, sometimes I get extreme symptoms because of psychological things, not being able to find an answer and then not being able to let go from that answer. And so I thought I'd come out for a little walk and get some fresh air going, fill my brains with oxygen, see if I can come up with some answers. Obviously these videos are dedicated to the channel, and the channel's dedicated to a cause. In actual fact, I'm more of a performer, musician, stage performer, than a video maker, social video maker. So I'm not really that up on the socialising aspect of the whole YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter thing. I find it very difficult to interact with people. I always have. It's my thing, really. It's my problem. But I've always been like that. Different people are different, and I don't mind. As you can see, I don't seem to have a great problem with talking, and I don't seem to have a great problem with expressing certain ideas. But I do have a problem with interaction. I do have a problem when somebody else is kind of getting the wrong idea, and then I have to correct them. Sometimes I find that correcting people very difficult. But even more than that, I think my character, my personality, maybe causes others to not want to correct me. Maybe because I'm just right. That's no use to me. So I've never been bothered all these years about doom and gloom events, end of the world events like global warming and meteors, asteroids hitting the earth, and volcanoes and nuclear thing. If the problem's just so big, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if a meteor hits the earth and wipes us all out, that's a pretty nice collective way to go, I'd say. But like I say, I never wished for it, never hoped for it, never waited for it, never even thought it was coming. Seen it so often that groups like Galactic Federation of Light have declared that the aliens are coming on the 22nd at 10 p.m. or whatever. Didn't come. Another excuse for not coming. And the whole 2012 thing came. The end of the Mayan calendar. Cosmic consciousness shift and stuff. We're all entering a new age. I don't see it. If you build a house, by the time you finish that house it's built, it doesn't mean that you've had a consciousness shift. It just means that you've worked overtime and efforts culminate, efforts have come together to make a finished thing. You can't call that a consciousness shift. In fact, if you've broken your leg while building the house, then it's set you back. I think life's pretty much nowish, really. We haven't really evolved. We haven't got stronger and faster and all that stuff. So I have to stop and get my breath. So what am I here to do? What am I trying to express? This is something I ask myself. And I know when I put up a video that it's there. But I know I need patience. As a lot of you know, who've been kind of looking into why there's something wrong in life. Maybe you don't know what it is, but something's been annoying you. And you've been looking into that. And then you've maybe realised that you have to even take a step back, because other folks are like a few years back in their knowledge or thinking. What we think is a normal piece of news, piece of alternative news is harmless to the masses, it's often the scariest shit they've ever heard. And I forget that. I forget that. You know, I think kids, you can talk to kids in all sorts of ways. You know, kids are not like fazed by certain things. You know, when we used to sit watching TV years ago, you know, kids are not really particularly fazed by world affairs and stuff. Kids are fazed more about comfort, losing fun and losing family. And you know, even food isn't an apparent danger to a child, I think, until they're hungry. So we live in this misconception of trying to actually protect children from information, when actually all we're doing is just censoring ourselves. You know, this thing about swearing. I know a lot of little kids don't swear, but more kids do. And if they go into a public school, probably most kids swear, I'd say. At least amongst themselves. Pretty bad swearing as well. Very sexual connotations, and there's a lot of very pornographic speech, so to speak, going on amongst younger teenagers and younger. So who are we censoring stuff from, really? From the parents, mostly, I'd say. This is something I've never understood about parents, really. I'm starting to see society a little bit like school. I hated school. I mean, we got picked on by the teachers. And I didn't really do anything wrong. I was just different. I was nervous. I'm the kind of person who likes to learn at night. I don't like authority. Especially when that authority is unwarranted, you know, unqualified. I don't see why anybody should have more qualifications than me just because they've got a piece of paper, when I can actually prove in a physical reality that I'm more competent at the age of 15 than that 30-year-old teacher. And that is the case. That was the case in particular subjects. But I didn't get honoured. In fact, I got dishonoured. You know, and in school I just wanted to stand on the desk and shout, "Aren't you all sick of this? Kids, aren't you all as sick as I am of this school, of this concentration camp where we're forced to concentrate or punished for not concentrating? You know, what are we, prisoners?" And I'd ask my mother, "Why do I have to go to school?" "Oh, because they'll put me in prison or and get punished." So where was the reason for the child? Where was my answer? I was a child asking society for a logical answer, and I didn't get it. The law is the law because we say so is the answer. Now, I figured that out quite early, that, you know, I don't like authority. I'm not going to have a boss. I'm self-employed. A self-employed business is very difficult to work, you know, especially when you keep it to yourself, because, you know, you need lawyers and accountants and all of this stuff, and then your advertising and promotion and all that stuff. But, you know, we're getting totally ripped off in society as well, you know, through taxes. You know, it's obvious that taxes go to the rich people. I would say that most of the taxes that we pay goes to government media propaganda to make us think that the world's in such a bad place, so that we invest more money in solving the problems, and it just goes in the pockets of the rich people. And it's like a kind of a hostage bribery system where it goes up the chain, you know. People who are a little bit more well off than I am generally keep themselves to themselves because they don't want to, you know. Like I was saying though, I mean, in school I just wanted to stand on the desk and say, kids, I'm sick of this. Are you all sick of this? Do you all hate school as much as I do? Do you all think that blindlessly following authority and being obedient like that is going to solve anything? Do you think that's correct? Do you think that's right? And I wanted to stand on that desk and shout that out. And I would have hoped that at least half the class of children would stand up. None of the kids stood up. There was maybe 2 people in our class who had the balls to even go against authority. So school was like a prison, like a concentration camp for me. And I think other people sort of enjoyed it, especially girls, you know. Girls are more sociable and like to chatter, and they also develop differently at that age. You know, girls become more mature at a younger age. So the boys are all there like kind of feeling immature and weak, and the willpower is just getting pounded out of the kids until we leave school. Now then you think, oh yeah, you know, people even used to say, oh, you'll look back at school and think of them as the best days of your life. No, I look at them like the time where I was in that concentration camp for 10, 15 years. Being mentally and psychologically punished. I got spanked in front of the class. How sick is that? I can't even remember why. And so I leave school, enter this society, and notice it's the same. It's the same. I'm standing here on this desk, shouting, I can't stand mindless authority. I can't stand your mindless obedience to your teachers and your leaders just because they've got a ranking. They've just got a position that they've earned through being in the right family, through having a lot of capital, a lot of money to invest, or probably just doing something very corrupt. A lot of you know how easy it is to come by a great deal of money if you just give up your morals. I mean, look how many businesses out there are not really actually following a true moral path. And I'm not against money, I'm not against capitalism if the government are just keeping its fingers out of all stealing money off it and rigging the currency. But generally, I think money or value exchange is necessary in a society to keep things going, and no problem with that. It's just then when that becomes your credibility. You know, if I came onto this channel now and says, oh, I've got 10 million, or I've got a million subscribers now, and 10 million people have like donated, or, you know, would you think I was a better person for that? So, you know, I don't like to sound frustrated on this, but I'm not going to go, and I think the government is silly for doing... It's just going to bore the crap out of you, and it's going to bore the crap out of my mind, because my mind works on fucking enthusiasm, which is something I don't see that much. Enthusiasm, you know, excitement. I'm not talking about paranoia and fear. I'm talking about enthusiasm, having a bit of fucking step in your click. A click in your step. You know, having the guts to make a mistake and not being so politically correct. And not having to stick up our asses. People have got no backbone these days. You know, I used to think the old blokes were like, you know, just set in the ways and just weren't into change. But I realised, yeah, all of that old furniture, all of them Biedermeier sofas and all of that nice, you know, antique dresses and stuff. I thought that was just old dusty stuff that had to go, you know. Swap it with the modern, swap it with the metal and plastic. But then as I started to grow up a little bit, I realised, shit, you can't just rewind that. You can't rewind. You know, you can't remake an old piece of furniture. You know, it was built by a craftsman, by somebody who had love in their fingers, you know, wisdom in the bones. You can't reproduce that what's gone like that. And it seems to me that with, the system or something's tricked us into swapping all of our good stuff for disposable stuff. Makes it far easier to dispose of when we've gone, I suppose. But the point of it is there's no love in the world when everything's just a mass-produced piece of shit from some corporation company that's just pumping out chairs and tables that look the same. Just pumping out just machine stuff. We live in a machine. We live in a system. You can feel the cogs grind over your head if you step out of line. And then you ask somebody else, because obviously this system is supposed to be for the people, from the people. The people are what run the world. And then you turn to your fellow man, and people don't understand, it seems. People know that there's troubles. People know that they hate the government. People know that they get tired of tax and sick of the injustice. But nobody stands on that desk and shouts, hey, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of your mindless obedience to authority. I'm sick of standing under this bullshit. Few people are standing up and just saying, look, this teacher is a charlatan. This teacher is only there because they've got a job and they need the money, and they're doing their best to fool everybody in that class and that school that they've got some knowledge enough to actually impart. Now, I don't like to come across as being disrespectful. There are surely good teachers, but the whole school system, the whole public school system, it's a concentration camp. If you actually saw it through the true mechanism that it is, everybody would just come down on the school like a ton of bricks. Now people will disagree. I disagree with you, Steve. Well, disagree properly and tell me why you disagree. Don't tend to disagree, mate. Yeah, I don't care whether you disagree. I'm standing on the fucking desk and I'm saying I don't like authority. That's all. I'm not asking for pity. I'm not asking for I'm not even asking for backup, actually. I'm just sick of sat in that wooden desk day after day after day reading what's off that blackboard. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 and 2 plus 5, does it? Everybody is writing it down. Now just look around you, ask yourself, do you think all of your friends have got backbone? Do you think all your friends have got the enthusiasm and spirit to rise up and do something that's more than just like a hobby for one's own self-satisfaction? I could do all kinds of things for myself, but it's not a world wonder, is it? What would be a world wonder for me is if I just stood on that desk and says, I'm sick of authority, and then everybody else in that class would stand on that desk and say, yes, now let's sort the thing out. No aggression, no violence, just enthusiasm. Now I'm sick of this fucking non-aggression principle turning into a passive person's principle. What is aggression? Am I being aggressive now when I express passion? Because I tell you what, passive-aggressive people, they're just, it's just happening. Passive aggressiveness just happens. And nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. It's like there. But as soon as somebody stands on that desk and openly and honestly shares his feelings or her feelings with the world, what happens then? I just wanted to be a catalyst. I didn't want the fame of standing on that desk. That's why I didn't get on the desk in the first place, because I don't want popularity. I don't want loads of people buzzing around me. I just want to be left alone, really. I just want to be able to have my space and to come to your space, enjoy a cup of tea with you, and then go back to my space. That's all I wanted to do from life. I just wanted to be able to play music and make art and keep each other's happy, dig my garden, help you dig your garden, that sort of good stuff. Run corporations, whatever it needs to be, but not with the inaccountability, not with the false authority, not with these charlatans running the world, not with people who, just because they've got family connections or amounts of inheritance money, that they've suddenly got some kind of higher step in the ladder. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not jealous. I'm not envious of people who've got loads of money. for sure, if I had millions, then I'd probably be able to get away from this and buy myself a paradise, which is probably what most of the rich people are doing. They're just ignorant of us and our efforts to help them even. Because the rich people are going to be fucked at the end of the day. You know, all of these authoritarian people, when they run out of like people who are stupid enough to believe their bullshit, then authority just falls away and they've got no idea. You know, so who's standing up? Who's standing up to say anything? You know, who's standing up? I mean, YouTube's a platform where people make videos. But then people say, oh yeah, what's the truth? There is no such thing as the truth. Truth is, you know, going off on for hours on philosophies about this, that or the other makes no difference to the catalysation of getting people to stand on that desk and say, I am sick of this situation and I haven't got an answer, but I just know I cannot take all of this authoritarian mindlessness. I cannot take all of this obedience. You know, I can't take all of this shit. I just can't take it. Is that then a downfall? Is that the point where you've lost it then in society? Is that the point where they lock you away because you stood up and said, I don't like the system? Oh, you shouldn't not like the system. We're going to kill you instantly. No, I don't know. But I'd rather be dead than live in this fucking than this shithole really like this. It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful nature. But the minds of the people are rotting. Rotting. It's not waking up. You know, a lot of channels on YouTube, a lot of truth channels are just there to try and be popular and make money. Because if it wasn't, they'd push a little bit more to stand on the desk and say, I don't like this. But it's always such a conservative view. It's always such a snobby, like pompous view of like, unless you've got the answer right, I don't want to hear your truth. Your truth needs to be exact before I agree with it. I agree with most of it, but I'm not going to share it or like it or anything because you said this, you said corporations. Or you said money is good. Or teachers are evil and I'm a teacher and if you mention any teacher being evil then you're saying I'm evil so therefore I don't like you. Well, all of these years that I've been called evil for having ginger hair. All of these years that I've been like pushed out of the fucking, you know, the main pecking order of society, the main corporate pecking order. I was pushed out of that years ago. People like me are not welcome. You know, they want smart, soapy boys and girls to stand behind those counters and serve each other. Hello, welcome in. Can I help you, sir? I will lie and tell you everything good about this product and not tell you its failures, not tell you its errors. We are here to sell. We're not here to inform. We're here to make as much money as we can because the world is shit and we want our own island. And if we can fuck you over for as much money as we can, then we are free. You are not. Oh, unless you go and do the same to others. Just doesn't make sense. You know, I could sit down for a while. I could sit down and I could write. And I could formulate a video that makes more sense. But then it gets pulled to pieces. It gets pulled to, oh yeah, but you're wrong. Anarcho-capitalism is the way, and oh yeah, this is the way. And no, just fuck off. This is the way. Stand on the desk and say, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of false authority. Now you prove to me that you've got more authority than me. Prove it. Prove that you're cleverer than me. Outside of your own little area of knowledge. Prove it. Come on, authority. Prove that you're actually good enough to even turn this world around. No, you've got the authority to rip people off. You've got the authority to teach people bullshit from books and get certificates saying that you're a doctor or something. And just all you probably did is just write down the things, it's plagiarised, stolen. And you have to steal history. Because if you come up with your own ideas, if you come up with your own thoughts and own conclusions and own theories, for one, people will come up and say, oh no, there's big philosophers who already proved that to be false, what you're saying. Or, oh, go read Nietzsche, or go and do this. No, hang on, they lived years ago. They have no clue from modern society. They've got no clue about the digital era, the communications, the way life is now. We're having kind of crazy kind of mind-bending mind fucks because of the social networking. Like Facebook and YouTube and stuff. View count stopping. What for? I ain't even got any advertising on my channel. It's the only indicator that I've got that there's actually human contact. And I have to ignore that too. I have to ignore it all. I have to just take it on faith. Take it on trust that these videos are reaching people. Because I'm not out here to sell gardening products or tell you how to do shit. I'm telling you how to stand on that desk. Or try now. I know it's not easy, but I'm just trying to say, get on the fucking desk and tell your teacher that you want to know the true answers. Come up with some good questions, I'm not saying just flip out. I put years into this, you see. Learning and researching law, researching different laws, looking into every different country's interests and stuff. And it wears me down. It wears me down because then I'll go to somebody else and I'll say, oh yeah, did you know this? And they'll say, oh no, I saw it on TV the other week and you're wrong. I saw the same TV programme. I saw the same mind control. Do you think TV licenses are actually really enough to keep people funded? It's a propaganda machine. Propaganda machine, and until people get that it's a fairground, and if you've ever been to a fairground, that it's not about fairness, it's about fun, and you get pickpockets, and you get risky rides that fall to pieces, and you get ghost trains, and you get ripped off. You expect to get ripped off. They're not there to be fair, they're there to make money and have fun. That's the fairness, is the fun you have. But you go home with no money in your pocket and a smile on your face if you haven't been ripped off. Same thing with this society. Everything's just a fairground ride, built for your entertainment. But you're being entertained to death. I realise I'm maybe a little bit ahead of the time. Maybe the time's still too early for people to understand why they need to stand up against authority, or stand up to authority, or actually rise up into their own authority. Authority means being the author. And so if I decide what to do, then I'm the author of my own actions. If you decide what to do, then you're the author of your own actions. But if you copy someone else, or you let somebody else tell you what to do, then you have to accept their authority. And maybe that's useful, but not all the time. It's dangerous. It's well dangerous. And now if anybody wants to write on the bottom of this video in a comment that there are no problems in the world, that everything's fine and all of that, that's okay, do that. I would be interested actually to know if there are any people left who do think that this society is functioning properly. Regardless of the esoteric views or the Buddhist views or whatever, everything is how it should be and all that. Fully appreciate it. But if I play any part in this universe, if I'm actually existing, if I exist in this universe and people can hear me shout and I have an effect, then I've got to make a positive effect. I've got to stand on that desk and I've got to say to you, I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know what's going on here. but I hate it. I hate being pushed down because the society says so. It's a prison. It's a prison. Nothing more than a concentration camp. And everything has been concentrated into money and fear and comfort and commodities. We've all been held hostage. It's been held hostage.